What exactly was Lu Buwei thinking at that time? No one knows, but it must have been a mix of sorrow and joy. On one hand, he rejoiced in his great success and having a promising son. On the other hand, he grieved over the unspeakable grievances weighing on his heart. In the end, whoever sows the seeds of misfortune must bear the consequences. After Lu Buwei's death, his trusted followers buried him north of present-day Luoyang. He was laid to rest alongside his late wife. From this point onward, King Ying Zheng of Qin began to truly wield power alone. But he was not content with the status quo. Next, he set out to plan an earth-shattering event. What event? Unifying the entire realm. Unifying the realm, easier said than done. First, he had to conquer the six kingdoms. After over a century of sword fights and battles during the spring and autumn and warring states periods, the central plains were left with only Qi, Han, Wei, Zhao, Yin, Chu, and Qin, 7 states vying for supremacy. Let's start with Qi. Qi was originally quite prosperous, known as a powerful state in the east. But after King Jian of Qi, the king of peace, ascended the throne, he grew complacent. Moreover, he lived a long life, over 40 years, eventually leading to the overall decline of Qi's politics and economy. With no loyal ministers at home and no capable generals abroad, it was left with only the empty reputation of an eastern power. Next, Han. Han was the weakest among the 6 states east of the Taiying Mountains. During the reign of King Huanhui of Han, it had already submitted to Qin. When King Ying Zheng planned to conquer the 6 kingdoms, Han was already in name only. Then Wei. In the early warring states period, Wei stood above all other states. Later, however, due to years of harassment by Qin, it gradually declined. There was once a chance for Lord Xinling to save Zhao with his life, which could have revived Wei's fortunes. Yet the king of Wei, foolish and incompetent, fell for Qin's plot and dismissed Lord Xinling, thus losing the last chance to rise again. Next, Zhao. Zhao had long been a powerful state in the north, with substantial strength. In history, there was King Wuling of Zhao, a capable ruler. He advocated Hu-style clothing and cavalry archery, reformed politics, enriched the state, and strengthened the military, revitalizing Zhao's fortunes. At that time, Zhao resisted the Xiongnu in the north and Qin in the south, becoming the only vassal state capable of contending with Qin. But subsequent kings of Zhao were muddle-headed. They failed to reuse their capable generals like Lian Pu and Li Mu, leading to corrupt officials dominating the court and the state's fortunes declining day by day. Then, Yin. Yin was weak in its early days but thrived through generations of diligent governance by its kings, expanding and prospering steadily. However, during the reign of King Shi of Yin, he pursued aggressive militarism, frequently clashing with neighboring Zhao, wasting people and resources, and exhausting the state's strength. Yan's power plummeted to second last among the 6 states, only slightly stronger than Han. Next, Chu. Chu was the strongest among the 6 states east of the Taiying Mountains, long dominating the south with numerous soldiers, capable generals, vast territory, and abundant resources. But after Qin's god of war, Bai Qi captured its capital, Chu was somewhat intimidated by Qin. It moved its capital several times, severely damaging morale, and its fortunes declined sharply. Finally, Qin. Qin was originally a small state of the Rong and Di tribes in the Guangzhou region. Its distant ancestor was said to be Boyi, who helped the Great Control floods during the reign of Shun, performed outstandingly, and was granted the surname Ying. After several generations, a descendant named Eli emerged. This ancestor had some minor abilities. He was fast and strong, and long followed King Zhou of Shang in his misconduct, aiding and abetting the tyrant. As a result, he was killed along with King Zhou. Though Eli was killed, his lineage continued. His 5th-generation grandson, named Fizi, excelled at raising horses, gained the favor of King Shao of Zhou, and was enfeoffed in the Qin region, passing down his legacy for 4 generations. Then came Duke Xiang of Qin, who assisted the Zhou king of the time, rendered great service, and was awarded a fertile piece of land. From then on, the Qin region gradually developed. After several more generations, Duke Mu of Qin came to power. Duke Mu annexed 12 small neighboring states and became a regional overlord. Over a decade later, Duke Xiao of Qin ascended the throne. Duke Xiao appointed Xiangyang to implement reforms, making Qin powerful quickly and establishing its capital in Xianye. After Ying Zheng, the son of Duke Xiao of Qin, ascended to the throne, he changed his title from Duke to King in 325 BCE, becoming Qin's first king, the famous King Huiwen of Qin in history. During the reigns of King Wu and King Zhaoxiang, Qin began to compete for supremacy in the central plains with the 6 states east of the Taiying Mountains. Through the efforts of several generations, by King Ying Zheng's time, Qin had stood out and stood above all other states. This was the general situation of the 7 warring states at that time. From this, a clear trend emerges. Qin was rising rapidly, while the other 6 states were declining to varying degrees. Why did this phenomenon occur? Mainly, it was directly related to the ruler of each state. A state with a capable ruler tended to grow strong. One with an incompetent ruler tended to grow weak. As the saying goes, a train runs fast only if the locomotive pulls hard. This applies to large nations as well as small companies. King Ying Zheng of Qin was a remarkable figure. Unlike some so-called second-generation rich or second-generation officials today, or even second-generation poor, who only think of indulging in pleasure, frivolity, chasing women, playing games, lacking ambition or ideals, and living a life of ease. Instead, he was an emperor unwilling to rest on his laurels. He was intelligent, studious, combative by nature, ruthless in means, and ambitious, with unifying the realm as his lifelong ideal. Conquering the 6 kingdoms was the most crucial step in achieving this ideal. Faced with the task of conquering the 6 kingdoms, King Ying Zheng clearly recognized that though the 6 states east of the Taiying Mountains were already in decline, they had survived countless trials. They could not be conquered easily and required careful planning. So how would King Ying Zheng plan it? Knowing when to stop leads to gain. King Ying Zheng of Qin, later Qin Shi Huang, organized his ministers and strategists, spending a great deal of time formulating strategic and tactical guidelines for conquering the 6 states. First, to dismantle the alliance of the 6 states through powerful political and diplomatic offensives, concentrating superior forces to defeat them one by one. Second, based on the strength of the 6 states and the geographical terrain, to first attack Zhao from the northern route, then turn to Yan. After destroying Zhao, followed by Han and Wei, and finally march against Qi and Chu. The former was a strategic plan, and the latter a tactical guidance. It was this approach that initiated the campaign to crush the 6 states. However, there is often a gap between ideal and reality, and the battlefield situation changes in an instant. The first attack on Zhao encountered unexpected twists. The king initially used a clever strategy. First, he sowed discord to provoke a war between Yan and Zhao, then sent 3 armies to launch a surprise attack in the name of aiding Yan and attacking Zhao. The troops advanced smoothly to the vicinity of Handan, and victory seemed within reach when the battle situation suddenly reversed. The key reason was the emergence of Zhao's famous General Li Mu. This military commander, who had once annihilated 100,000 Xiongnu troops in the northern frontier and was feared far and wide, had long been marginalized in politics, but was ordered to lead border troops to reinforce Handan when the country faced crisis. Li Mu lived up to expectations, defeating the Qin army in one battle, annihilating their entire force and forcing them to withdraw. Although King Ying Zheng was burning with anxiety after the first defeat, he did not discouraged, a trait often found in successful people who persist despite repeated setbacks. In the 15th year of King Zheng's reign, the Qin army divided into northern and southern routes to attack Zhao again, with Li Mu once more taking command of the Zhao army. He demonstrated superb military literacy. Instead of overreaching, he concentrated superior forces to first defeat the northern Qin army, then turned back to block the southern enemy. Moreover, his border troops, honed through battles against the Xiongnu, were as agile as lightning. After several fierce battles, the Qin army was thrown into confusion and dared not engage, ultimately returning empty-handed. Despite 2 defeats against Zhao, the prolonged war had severely damaged Zhao's economy, causing its national strength to plummet and its military resources to depletion. King Ying Zheng assessed the situation and stopped stubbornly confronting the strong Zhao. instead adopting the strategy of picking the soft persimmon first to destroy the weakest state, Han. This decision was not only because Han lacked strength, but also because it occupied the vital strategic position as the gateway for Qin to exit the Hangu Pass to the east. Historically, Han and Qin had year-round clashed, with Han suffering repeated defeats, its territory shrinking until it became a vassal. In the 17th year of King Ying Zheng's reign, when he was 30, Han was completely destroyed. In the same year, Zhao suffered a severe drought, adding insult to injury for a country already in a state of utter devastation. The following year, King Ying Zheng took the opportunity to send another large army to attack Zhao, but was once again firmly blocked by Li Mu's Zhao army, with no military breakthrough. By this time, King Ying Zheng had been contending with Zhao for nearly 9 years, each time failing due to Li Mu. He couldn't help but feel anxious. Must we wait for Li Mu to die of old age? If he lives to be 100, won't we be exhausted to death? This underscores the importance of aligning strategic formulation with tactical feasibility. Otherwise, even the best plans difficult to implement. King Yongzheng's determination to destroy Zhao remained unshakable. After calmly analyzing the battlefield situation, he decided to find another breakthrough. He showed flexibility at the tactical level, adopted the advice of his strategists, and used heavy bribes to buy off Guokai, a favorite minister of the king of Zhao. Through a Cao discord Asian plot, he prompted the king of Zhao to replace capable generals like Li Mu with Zhao Cong and Yin Zhu as commanders. The foolish and incompetent king of Zhao not only dismissed Li Mu but also had him executed, digging his own grave. With Li Mu dead, all obstacles for the Qin army were removed. In the 19th year of King Yongzheng's reign, the general Wang Jian led his army in the final battle to destroy Zhao. Zhao Cong was no match for Wang Jian and was soon defeated and killed. The king of Zhao, filled with regret but powerless to reverse the situation, eventually opened the city gates and surrendered under Guokai's manipulation. The state of Zhao, which had existed for over 250 years, thus perished. After destroying Zhao, King Ying Zheng originally wanted to directly attack Chu, but because Wei lay in the way, he first targeted this unlucky state. Similar to Han, Wei was also located at the throat of Qin's eastern expansion and had long been attacked by Qin troops. After repeated defeats, it had ceded land and paid indemnities, eventually leaving only the capital Daliang and surrounding cities. In the 22nd year of King Yongzheng's reign, the Qin general Wang Bin, son of the veteran general Wang Jian, led his army to the gates of Daliang, now northwest of Kaifeng, Hunan. As an ancient capital, Daliang had high and thick walls, making it extremely solid. Inheriting his father's military strategies, Wang Bin did not adopt a frontal assault, but instead used a water attack, continuously flooding the city for 3 months. King Jia of Wei, unable to endure the suffering, was forced to open the city and surrender, but was immediately executed by Wang Bin. Wei thus perished. Next was Chu. Although Chu was not the strongest, it was a large state with vast territories, covering present-day western and southeastern Hunan, southern Shandong, the entire provinces of Hubei and Hunan, areas east of Dongting Lake, and the whole of Jiangxi, Anhui, Jiangsu, and Zhejiang. By this time, having destroyed 3 states, King Ying Zheng had gradually become arrogant, a common tendency after achieving success, when disasters often strike unnoticed. In the process of attacking Chu, due to King Ying Zheng's underestimation of the enemy, he encountered the second major setback since the campaign to destroy the 6 states. The top priority is to select a general, namely, deciding who will command the 3 armed forces. This has always been a matter of great deliberation since ancient times. Before preparing to attack the powerful state of Chu, the state of Qin faced the same dilemma. Emperor Ying Zheng of Qin had 2 relatively suitable candidates at his disposal. One was Li Xian, a member of the younger generation and a rising star. He had just achieved a brilliant victory against the state of Yin, defeating a larger enemy with fewer troops. At the height of his fame, Li Xian was young, aggressive, and full of momentum. The other was Wang Jian, a veteran statesman and a seasoned military leader. Having fought in countless battles over the years, he had an impressive record of achievements. Wang Jian was mature, prudent, and rich in experience. It can be said that each had their own strengths, and it was hard to tell who was superior for a while. Choosing between them was like a modern talent selection contest. Only through a showdown could the better candidate be identified. One day, in the imperial court, Emperor Ying Zheng posed a question for the two to answer separately. How many troops would be needed to attack the powerful state of Chu? Young people tend to act on impulse. Li Xian stood forward with his chest out and declared loudly, "Your Majesty, what powerful state of Chu are we talking about? Just give me 200,000 troops, and I will conquer it." Emperor Ying Zheng, who was not very old himself, was delighted to hear this. It perfectly matched his own intentions. He then turned to the veteran General Wang Jian and asked, "Veteran General Wang, what is your opinion?" Wang Jian coughed softly to clear his throat, stepped forward slowly, and replied with a solemn expression, "Your Majesty, forgive this old minister for speaking bluntly. Without at least 600,000 troops, this war cannot be fought." Upon hearing this, Emperor Ying Zheng's face turned ashen, as if a stock market crash had occurred. He presumably thought to himself, "This old fellow wants to take all my military resources. What does he mean by that? Is he trying to rebel?" So he snorted and said unhappily, "Veteran General Wang, are you really getting old? Have you grown afraid of death? Why do you need so many troops? General Li is truly brave and fearless." These words were quite hurtful. This reminds us that in daily conversations and actions, even those in leadership positions should be cautious. Can you really be certain that you are always right? Wouldn't it be better to leave some room for flexibility? Once you humiliate yourself and lose your authority, it will be too late to regret it. Having been spoken to in such a manner, the veteran Wang Jian felt deeply humiliated. He had no choice but to ask to retire and return to his hometown on the pretext of illness, essentially telling Emperor Ying Zheng, "This old man has no desire to play along with you young lads anymore." Li Xian, on the other hand, was filled with complacency. He led 200,000 troops, together with General Meng Tian, to march against the state of Chu. The campaign went smoothly at first. Meng Tian advanced from one flank, while Li Xian led the main force in a frontal attack. Without much fighting, the two armies penetrated deep into the heartland of Chu and successfully joined forces. But the state of Chu was no pushover either. How could it possibly stand by and watch the Qin army keep advancing eastward? It soon dispatched its celebrated and capable general, Xiang Yan, to lead troops and confront the enemy. Now, regarding Xiang Yan, many people might be quite familiar with him. If you aren't, there's someone whose name will surely ring a bell, none other than Xiang Yu, the overlord of Western Chu. And Xiang Yin was precisely Xiang Yu's biological grandfather. Truly, Xiang Yin lived up to his reputation as a renowned general. Faced with the Qin army's fierce offensive, he did not rush to go out and meet the enemy in battle. Instead, he held his ground and refrained from engaging, waiting to strike when his troops were well rested while the enemy grew fatigued. Li Xian, young and impetuous, was restless and couldn't hold out for long. He led his main forces on a long-distance maneuver, planning to launch a surprise attack on the rear of the Chu army. Xiang Yan seized this opportunity to send out elite troops on a surprise mission. They tailed the Qin army for 3 whole days and nights, and when the Qin soldiers were caught off guard, exhausted, and their horses fatigued, the Chu army suddenly launched an assault. As a result, the Qin army suffered a crushing defeat. This defeat marked the second major setback for the Qin army since it began conquering the 6 states. Li Xian barely escaped with his life. The previous setback, as mentioned earlier in the text, was the resistance waged by Li Mu, a military commander of the Zhao state, against the Qin army. When news of Li Xian's defeat reached him, King Ying Zheng of Qin flew into a furious rage, bitterly regretting his decision, so much so that he almost felt like he could kick himself. He regretted not heeding the advice of the veteran General Wang Jian. But one must always face reality, and this once again became a test of King Ying Zheng's wisdom. After careful reflection, King Ying Zheng concluded that the failure was mainly due to putting the wrong person in command, not because the Chu state was unbeatable. Once he realized this, King Ying Zheng's resolve to conquer Chu not only did not waver, it grew even stronger. Having learned his lesson from the painful experience, he decided to re-employ the veteran General Wang Jian. By then, Wang Jian had already returned to his hometown on the pretext of illness, intending to retire and enjoy life with his grandchildren. Would he just come back at the king's call? Warfare was no trivial matter. It could not be forced. After all, it was a matter of the nation's survival, and Wang Jian's willingness to serve was essential. King Ying Zheng was by no means an ordinary emperor. He was able to stoop and rise as circumstances demanded. Presumably, he thought to himself, "Wang Jian, you've been avoiding this, haven't you? Very well, then I, the Son of Heaven, will humble myself and go to your hometown in person to invite you to come out of retirement. Surely that will suffice? This gives you ample respect, doesn't it?" The tactic of visiting a wise man repeatedly to persuade him to serve was not exclusive to Liu Bei during the Three Kingdoms period. Even the tough-minded King Ying Zheng knew how to use it. Some people might doubt this aspect of King Ying Zheng's character, thinking it impossible. In our conventional understanding, King Ying Zheng always seems to have the image of being majestic and domineering. How could he ever bow down or concede to others? In reality, this was not the case. Back then, there was a strategist in the Qin state named Wei Yang, Shanyang. He once described King Ying Zheng's character in the following way. King Ying Zheng has a high nose bridge and slender eyes. His chest is like that of a falcon, and his voice like that of a jackal. By nature, he is cold-hearted and lacks compassion, with a heart as fierce as a tiger or wolf. When he is in adversity, he can humble himself to others. When he achieves his ambitions, he readily looks down on others and is ruthless. He does not distrust those he employs, yet he often lowers himself because he needs my services. If King Ying Zheng ever fulfills his ambition of dominating the world, everyone under heaven will become like lowly ants in his eyes, and one cannot afford to associate with him for long. Descriptions in this passage of Qin Shi Huang Ying Zheng's appearance and personality traits are both incisive and profound, and should be relatively objective. This is because Wei Liao was extremely intelligent and deeply appreciated by Ying Zheng, Qin Shi Huang. Many of the clever strategies and schemes for conquering the 6 states, such as the strategy of sowing discord, originated from him. Ying Zheng, Qin Shi Huang, should have shown great kindness and recognition to Wei Liao by discovering his talents, so it was highly unlikely that Wei Liao would maliciously belittle Ying Zheng. If Wei Liao's evaluation is true, then it comes as no surprise that Ying Zheng, Qin Shi Huang, was able to humble himself and take the initiative to court the veteran General Wang Jian in order to conquer the state of Chu. In fact, the ability to be flexible, to bow when necessary and stand firm when possible, is a common trait among successful people. There is nothing remarkable or shocking about it. When the veteran General Wang Jian saw Ying Zheng coming, he already had his own plan. He did not comply with Ying Zheng's wishes and even pretended to be ill. Wang Jian knew that Ying Zheng was not an easy person to serve. If he did not make things clear, there would be trouble in the future. So he directly declined, saying, "Your Majesty, it is not that this old minister intends to disrespect you, but you have come in vain this time. I am now plagued by illnesses and injuries, unable to travel or fulfill your order. You should look for another capable general instead." Upon hearing these words, Ying Zheng was so angry that he almost lost his temper. He had thought that coming in person would definitely resolve the matter, yet this old fellow Wang Jian actually fobbed him off like this. However, there was nothing he could do. After all, he had wronged Wang Jian deeply in the past. He probably thought to himself, "All right, you're tough. Isn't this just about asking for terms or making demands?" So he forced a smile and said, "Veteran General Wang, I have come here in person. If you have any grievances, feel free to speak up. If you have any requests, just put them forward. As long as you agree to come out of retirement and serve, I will grant whatever you ask for." Seeing how sincere Ying Zheng's attitude was, the veteran General Wang Jian could no longer keep up his airs. Wang Jian had watched Ying Zheng grow up, so he knew better than anyone else about Ying Zheng's fiery temper. All Wang Jian had wanted was exactly those words from Ying Zheng. So he pretended to sigh helplessly and said, "Alas, Your Majesty, you are only forced by circumstances to employ this old minister now. I have no intention of making things difficult for you. It still comes down to what I said before. Conquering the state of Chu will require no fewer than 600,000 troops. Now that the veteran general Wang Jian had brought up this request again, would Ying Zheng, Qin Shi Huang, really agree to it?